Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Zwift Community Live broadcast of the Zwift Racing League Season 3, week number 8. We are out on the Surrey's Hills for a single lap, which doesn't feel like a single lap. It feels like 4 monstrous laps of monstrous climbs out there. It's been 2 races so far on the day that played out fairly similar in the Community League and very differently it looked like in the Premier League, actually, or in the Premier Division. Very interesting racing on the day. Nathan Garrett Dave just got done a couple hours ago jumping in on the Premier Division. Looked like an awesome race. A couple more to the line, although it did look like it split up a little bit in the end. A lot of the community divisions have seen either solo riders or just a very small packs, not even packs, like pairs, trios, breaking things apart and getting away. It'll be interesting to see if we see a little bit more evening out amongst the field, though, in the Americas. I do feel like the Americas is extremely competitive in the sense that we do tend to see some pretty close racing. So I'm wondering if we're going to see the packs a little bit closer out there today, Dave, in these next two, what am I thinking here? Next two regions.
Yeah, I would say for America's East, absolutely. I'm not so sure about the West, to tell you the truth, is that typically comes down to the strongest man or woman standing out there. Pretty typical for the West, actually. Things have worked out that way for a couple hundred years out there. But to be honest, you're right, Nathan, because in Premier, what we saw was the fact that these athletes are so close to each other in ability. And that's what you get when you start, just like in real life racing, when you start with Cat 4s, there's a vast array of talent, ability, and experience. Well, the further you go up that pyramid, it's a smaller group of riders who all have much more similar skills, and they're all really fast and strong. And by the time you're in Premier League, it's next level. So it comes to, I mean, we saw some of the best riders in the league get dropped out of that front group. And today, Catherine Curie made history. She's raced with us in the community quite a few times. I mean, boy, she was all over racing last summer. It's so nice to see her have success with I Race Like a Girl. And she took her 4th win, man or woman. No one has won as many times as Catherine Curie. So super, super exciting. You're right. But it'll be a real slugfest for us here
Yeah, it
today, no
definitely
question.
is.
And
Speaking of Slugfest, they're actually we got it late. We got live just a little bit late. We do have the initial climb over the top of Box Hill for the first points with the women's B category, America's East. I just wanted to jump in with them quickly and not miss the main action with them. It is going to be Fearless with Brown off the front just a little bit. We'll give you guys an idea of where the standings are at, as well as who the teams are to be playing for the points out here. Dobbs from DDC, maybe no Herd across the line, it looks like, with Amy coming from the Skippers. Now, when they got out on course here, Dave, it was super fun to see the Herd crew right from the get-go. I've seen this all day long. They have a new, I don't know if this is new. Maybe this isn't new, but it seems like something new that they are doing where they're actually saying moo. At the moment that they head out on course, they're all texting moo, go Herd, or go Herd, moo. That's the general consensus, it seems like, is kind of their tagline or their battle cry, which I'm really enjoying. Their rallying cry is to moo at the beginning. So the Herd, they're cattling each other up or getting each other moving. So pretty cool to see. And Amy obviously got a little rally for that, taking down the first points across the line. Real quickly, if you want to take a look here at the course, it is a fun one, that's for sure. I didn't actually realize how difficult this course was until we got through the first of the commentary on the day and how long it was taking riders, how many intense climbs. You essentially attack these wanting them to be over as quickly as you possibly can. I mean, at the elite level in the Premier Division, you are still looking at over an hour of racing across the board amongst the men even, or no? Were the men a little shy of an hour?
no, right there.
Right
Right
there
there,
even.
actually. Yeah. This is the hardest day that we've had in all 3 seasons of ZRL. I mean, there's almost as much climbing today, Nathan, as what you see in Alp de Zwift. It's just under. Now, few things to note. 44K of racing, but that's for the A's and B's. The C's and D's are doing a slightly modified. They don't hit Fox for the final time. You can see that's a great course dynamic that you look at now. We'll be on Leith Hill. You can see Box Hill right in the middle. There's no points there, but there is a power up right at that 20K mark. And then we'll be on to Keith Hill. And then you can see the A's and the B's. This group is the B's that we're in with. We'll be slugging it out on Fox Hill. This looks like the premier women that we saw. Small group came together very early. Nathan, let's be honest, such a challenging course, and it hits almost immediately. Within 2K, you're climbing out here. We separate the wheat from the chaff incredibly quickly. What was amazing today in the women's premier race was how many times the second group chased back on. There were 3 distinct moments where it looked like the front group was gone. It would hover at 15 seconds, and then that was one of the majestic moves from Catherine Curie today, was bridging up to the front group and then getting caught in the split again and then re-bridging up and then attacking for the ultimate win. It was next level stuff.
Pretty amazing, actually. Now, I do have a question coming on in from Anna Russell herself. She's saying, so Nathan, Tron or no Tron? It was one of the main points of content, actually, on the day during the EMEA.
Who said no Tron?
Well,
who was the no Tron person?
There wasn't exactly a no Tron person. There was just an argument. There was an argument, not an argument. There was a debate. I'll say a debate happening about whether or not Tron is the fastest bike, and also whether or not Tron should be allowed even within the races. I am definitely of the persuasion that. I want to use language here that
gaming
says,
language, right?
No, philosophical absolute truth language. Okay. So,
right, even better. Yeah.
No, from an objective principle standpoint, if an item can be earned in game, it is no different than any other item earned in game, regardless of how much you have to do for it. And the amount of climbing needed to get a Tron bike, I'm not sure. I haven't done the comparison as to what it would take to do that versus everything you'd need to get the best wheels, the best frame, the best whatever for whatever specific course that you are after, right? So regardless, if it's able to be earned in the game, then you should be able to go after and get it for... There isn't any unfair advantage being gained there if everyone has access to it, no matter what. And so if certain bikes are being able to be used at a certain level of gain, the S-Works Venge with the 858 is extremely expensive setup that you have to really, really work for. So you have to spend a bunch of stuff on it. People can use that, but they can't use the Tron. Why would that make any sense?
Yeah.
So
totally with you on that. What's the difference, really? I mean, they're both earned by pedaling your bike on Zwift. It's just Tron is earned in a different scoring system.
Exactly. Just a different scoring system. So there was a debate, though. Someone was saying that the Tron is just that much stronger, that it just makes things boring or whatever. I'm like, well, that's not the issue at all then. Just because, and I don't even think that that's true. Horses for courses. And, the other thing is everyone, there's so many people using their Tron bike now. They're like, well, percentage-wise, Tron wins this much. I'm like, yeah, because so many people use it because reports say on these tests that it's the fastest. And I'm like, are those tests even racing tests? It doesn't show. So, I mean, there's a lot that goes in it. We need to do a podcast just on that. But that was a conversation earlier today. We should just have a podcast. We'll invite all the people who want to have a debate about it. And then we'll have to bring some actual evidence, though. We can't just sit around and chat about it. We need to actually go out and do new tests, real tests, and figure out what is going on so we can settle it once and for all. Meet you at high noon with Wild West, last man standing style.
Well, my representative in that test will be Laura Brown, because this woman is a wattage cottage off the front right now for Fearless Nathan. She's just setting her own tempo here. At 7% this climb, there's not a tremendous amount of draft, so in no way is this a fool's errand. She's just riding at her pace. I'm down with this, Laura Brown. Nice job here. As we take a look at the chase coming together, they're about 10K in. It's such a long day, Nathan, 44K of this, and you're going to be climbing for 2/3 of the time that you're in the saddle. More than that, even, you're going to be climbing out here today because the descents are so steep and just they go by so quickly. Next thing you know, there's not a lot of flat in the valleys in between the climbs out here. So that's Laura up and out of the saddle here. Small chase group right behind her as the women roll in again. This is so there's so many racers in the East. It's so awesome. But America's East Division 1, the Bs that we're covering, if you want to follow along at home, they're going to bring Laura back into the fold here. A bunch of Tron, but actually Laura Brown don't need no stinking Tron bike. She's doing fine without it, but I think that you'll see the riders that have one will be using it.
Yeah, looking through here, we do see Amy here to the front as well, not using Tron bike, interesting enough as well on this Canyon. So I think the Canyon's pretty popular actually as of recently. One of the fastest bikes you can get for pretty inexpensive as far as the spend goes.
Agreed. Eric at Zwift Insider does such a great job of talking or doing what Nathan was talking about, testing all the equipment and wheels and the combinations. And he was saying that the Canyon Aero Road, and I forget which wheel set it was, but there's a really economical way to get yourself pretty high level on aerodynamics, without any doubt. That's a great resource for anybody who has questions about things that Nathan was just talking about. There's a lot of knowledge there, a lot of hard work there as well. So thank you, Eric, for what you do. I got my Watopia poster up on the wall, Nathan, from Eric, framed and everything. So I know exactly where we are when we're out on Watopia now. Taking a look at the points here for America's East Division 1B. And pretty close here. It's going to come down to today, Nathan, Dutch Diesel and Herd of Skipper Butterflies. Who has the better day? Most likely, well, we do have 10 races in the season with our playoffs, but regular season ends today.
It does, and then the playoffs will be happening. But this group here is swelling a little bit. Interesting enough, I thought it was going to break apart, but it's been brought back into the fold. Dutch Diesel Cycling there. They are going to be in the orange. It's going to be Crush It there alongside of Dobbs. They are the current leaders in this category, 132. But it is a close battle with the Herd of Skipper Butterflies, only 2 points behind. Herd with Amy in there. She was able to take those first points. That is going to be extremely important that she continues to challenge at the front end of this race because DDC is still involved here. Erin T, also from the Skippers here, though, she is chasing and in 10th place now at this point. If she can make contact again and stay with that lead group, they will have a much better chance of taking down DDC for those 2 points. Cryogen Mary Blanc followed up by ATP Racing Honeybees. I do not see Cryogen very well represented toward the front here. So ATP perhaps getting a little bit of a walk away and trying to take down Cryogen in this final race with only a 2-point spread between them. And it looks like Cryogen maybe falling off of the podium with ATP, the Honeybees, taking that down. Now, there's a lot of racing to go, obviously, but early decisiveness on this course a lot of times shows what people have for climbing legs and shows what's going to end up happening at least at the end of the race for a top 10 to top 20 situation. Somebody coming back from a top 20 fall off on the initial climb is almost unheard of, Dave. So we are starting to see how things may play out for the overalls this early on in the race.
Yeah, I agree, Nathan. You either have it or you don't on a day like today. Now, there are going to be some riders that start to come good in the latter part of the race and some riders that will falter a little bit, but we're pretty locked in with the selections that we have. This has got to be the biggest group that we're going to find out on course here today.
Yeah, looks like Cryogen do have a couple of representatives in here, 3 of them, so they could make a solid chase. Now, in the Premier Division, did you have the Anvil available in the Premier Division?
No, we stick with just all season long. We've just used the basic 3: the arrow helmet for the feather and the truck for draft. Right?
Gotcha.
So no Anvil.
So what was really interesting was that the Anvil was so incredibly strong, and I actually have never seen the Anvil being used before in such a decisive way. The downhills are so intense here, and the reality of the snowball effect that we talk about a lot, that avalanching that can happen within a pack that just takes that speed so incredibly high. The more bodies you have rolling through at higher speed, it just starts accelerating upon acceleration upon acceleration. The anvil use, if it's used in succession of each other, we saw speeds of pushing almost 90 kilometers per hour on downhills from solo riders. Riders who weren't even in a pack were pushing almost 90 kilometers per hour on downhills from the anvil. It was absolutely decisive. And so we also saw riders who were very confused about the anvil, it seemed, didn't know when to use it perhaps or how much of a detriment it would be. And we saw uphill uses of the anvil on accident that people either didn't know, they might have hit. And we saw multiple of them. Like, they were just trying to get rid of it, not thinking it was going to do a whole lot, and people were falling off pace sometimes because they either accidentally or just thought it wouldn't do anything. Like, what's this anvil thing? So,
it's funny. They're like, I'm just going to dump this anvil. And it's like, oh, wow. I shouldn't have done that.
Suddenly your watch per kilogram just drops. Just completely drops.
Oh, my. My heart goes out to that rider. I could see that being me, to tell you the truth. I don't want this. I don't want this. Let me throw it away. And then it's like, oh my gosh, now I'm dragging it. Yeah, I think that anvil's great. I love the steamroller as well. I think it's funny, to tell you the truth, Nathan. If you had no idea what was going on and you saw those two as power-ups, you'd be like, what kind of evil mastermind is creating power-ups like this? But they make a lot more sense when you see them used correctly. That's for sure. So Amy, am I saying that right? I'm guessing I'm not, to tell you the truth. Sometimes riders in the community will use unique names, and it's fine, totally cool. It's just sometimes a little challenge. It's Amy. So I'm going to go with Mikode, that we're looking at now, one of the herd riders. There's herd of butterflies, herd of lemurs, and I think that's actually there's other herds as well, Nathan. We have 3 different herds.
There's all kinds of herds in the world. No,
yeah. Skipper butterflies, we've got it all for you. Monarch butterflies. So this has been a very competitive group. You can see a lot of ride-ons in the ATP riders' pockets there. Well appreciated in their Zwift community.
Looking
Clark
through,
and Brown. Oh, excuse me.
Aaron Ayala is in here as well. Kinsey Remian for ATP Racing. Michelle Dobbs. Laura Brown, as you had mentioned, from Fearless. And as well as Josie Poulet, Amanda Argu, and Cassandra Rush, all making this along with Stephanie Clark. So ATP with 2 riders in the front group. The solo rider, it looks like, from Revo is kind of isolated here at this point. Where's Revo in the standings here? Revo Godivas, they're 98 points. Les Watts sisters on the chase hard because Revo have gotten one rider up the road. Perhaps just falling off a little bit actually now at this point. And the Watts sisters are going to be happy about that because, as you can see in the standings in the lower left-hand corner, 96 versus 98. And the Watts sisters have, from what I could see, a pretty good contingent on the chase, as you see a whole lot of that black and gray here. They are being marked a little bit by one Revo behind, maybe 2. Actually, no, Revo have really been dropped off at this point. They're going to have to really rally the second half of this race, as I believe the Watts sisters are on the chase. Again, Mary Blanc and Cryogen on the chase. They do want to keep the reality of ATP and the breakaway that they are in within reach, but they are the aggressors, it seems like, as Remian, as well as Clark, are Stephanie Clark here, right in that top 4. And it seems like she's just marking this front group and following as closely as possible rather than going on too much of an attack and sticking her nose in the wind, as Brown continues to push this pace that we've seen over and over. Crush It now coming through, doing exactly as the name says, DDC taking over. And this is the section, of course, where you want to do so, because it's this last quarter is where it really kicks up as you get into these breaks here. 10% gradients almost all the way through till it levels off to the top of this Leith Hill.
Cassandra Rush is a machine here on the front. DDC is Dutch Diesel Cycling. Cassandra Rush, CJ Boyinger, Holly Gable, Michelle Dobbs, and Summertime. How do you not love that name? Tammy Taylor also on the squad. Summer racing, it's winter time where Summer is in Australia now, or I guess not quite winter, but they're getting there, aren't they? As we take a look now at Cassandra, setting a very nice tempo here on the front. She's with the team that is really locked in battle here. I mean, for all intents and purposes, for the top team in the regular season, it looks like Dutch Diesel has the herd of Skipper Butterflies as their last main contender, Nathan. Cryogen Marie Blanc is in the same situation with ATP Racing Honeybees, and that speaks to racing in the community. How much fun. You don't have to be always racing for the outright title and outright win and championship of the world to enjoy racing. Sometimes, if you're a honeybee, it's going to be awfully fun to beat Marie Blanc if you can pull that off today, and vice versa. Cryogen is looking to make sure the honeybees don't do that, and I love it. Good luck to everybody. It is, Amy. Thank you.
Appreciate Mania. Mania Crampage 16
feedback goes a long way.
loving the name as well. Loving the name. I have no idea what Dave is talking about here, to be honest. Not you, but Dave Trill. Sometimes I have no idea what Dave is talking about as well. But hi, Nathan and Dave. For interest, there was this 16th century Portuguese explorer, Ferdinand Magellan. He's related to penguins. He's letting me know where the Magellan penguins came from. Magellan nation. How do you see? I can say Magellan.
Well, I'm gonna have
but then when you add the ick on the end, Magellan ick. There we go. Penguins. That's where they came from. I appreciate because we had those penguins on last week.
Yes. And that really is more Kate Bates that should be brought into that conversation than myself. I was there for the tail end of that, but you and Kate were talking about the Magellanic penguins. And Magellan was one of, and someone could correct me where I'm wrong here, but was one of a great traveler, map maker, and helped us kind of define what the world looked like 500-600 years ago.
Crazy.
See how close I was, Nathan?
Going by sea. No, you're right. He was going by sea. Magellan was traveling all over the place here as we got Brown here trying to follow.
Wow.
Oof, not quite able to take it.
Just
Cassandra.
Cassandra
takes it. I think she had the power for it, but that's a little kick that's going to maybe drop off the other DDC rider. If this other DDC rider can get across, and Cassandra's going to want exactly that. She's backing right on. She actually doesn't even care, it looks like, to hold on to Brown's wheel. She's like, no. We'll bring you back. No problem. Dobbs, get on my wheel. You can see it here. Dobbs now 5'6", as you can see, putting the suffer pain in. Here we go. 180 beats per minute as Brown looks to try and get away. SPAB.
This is crazy. This is bananas.
It really is.
So you can see, Nathan, this is going to be a crazy, crazy long day in the saddle. We're at 15K, and it's over half an hour already. So one of the things that I heard from a few different premier riders today was they experienced for the first time in her ZRL career, and another one of the guys was telling me he'd never cramped as hard in his life as he did today. As it's amazing what you can do in an hour when you're making 5 watts per kilo the whole time. I'm not saying everybody's at that level, but I mean, you have your level out there, my friends. You know what that is. And when you spend that much time up in the red zone, Nathan, I mean, I don't know what your experience is with cramping. There's an anvil being thrown down, I guess would be more appropriate. But not everyone has big issues with cramping. I think everybody will cramp eventually if you lack potassium and sodium, and there's a lot at play there. But I don't know if you cramp or not, Nathan, but it hurts. Oh, does it hurt?
Yeah, Kiss 100, I think, a few weeks ago.
Did you?
Oh, yeah, full on. Yeah. There was nothing. It was the race where I continually, I think we were on Watopia Flat Reverse, and I continually attacked like the over and over and over and over and over again. And when it came down to the final sprint, my legs just went and just said no more. There was just no more. So
after that race, someone told me your friend Nathan is a maniac. That's how they described you. And I said,
"Yeah, it. That's the point.
Yeah.
That is the point. Yeah. That's the point. You got to be crazy if you want to win this sport." So Brown's off the front.
Listen, I got to be honest, Nathan. There's times when crazy does beat strong. It happens in cycling. Not often, but every now and then. It's awesome when it does. Wow, this one's blowing up here, man. We got riders all over the place here. It's going to come down to, as I've said a few times, that OSS situation. It's really just the strong, and the strong will shine, and they will survive, and others will really pay a big price out on this course today.
Taking a look here, interesting enough, this is going to be the Spinabuns hammering away with Argue. Now, I'm looking through the names here on our list, and it's going to be Amanda Argue. It says that she's back in 32nd place, but she's definitely not back in 32nd place. She's definitely in 4th place at this point. Over on Zwift Power. Amanda Argue, level 34 Zwifter. 50 races underneath her belt. She's been racing since February of 2020, it looks like. And perhaps, I wonder when she jumped onto the Spinabuns team. I'm looking through here and really got involved, though, in the Zwift Racing League just this past April. So the season 3 was her first season, and she is walking away for the Spinabuns at the front end of this race right now. It looks like a really good pickup for them.
Somebody's going to steal that name. I hope that they've got this notarized and trademarked, because the Spinaman Buns, that could be a cycling studio in Manhattan. Couldn't you see that being the place where Madonna goes? You know, all the high-end people. If they don't, I'm going to. Spinaman Buns is one of the best names in the league.
Yeah, interesting enough, it doesn't look like they're registered over on Zwift Power as... Oh, they are. They are. She just doesn't have it as a marker. Good. She doesn't have it as a marker on her Zwift Power ID as a newer pickup. But they are a smaller team, I mean, relatively, which is sometimes cool.
Yeah.
E-Racing Club also promote inclusivity, aim to support riders who belong to groups underrepresented in cycling. January 2021 saw our first E-Racing team join the Zwift Racing League for season 2. And so they hope to field both B and C team for season 3 in ZRL. And that's exactly what's happening. They're at the front end right now of the B category in season 3 with Amanda Argue. Nice job to the Spinabuns.
Hey, I think it's worth it, Nathan.
Buns. Sorry, I'm like shortening that.
Spinaman
I'm
Buns.
shortening. I'm
It's
totally
okay.
shortening. I'm calling them just the Spinabuns.
It works. We knew what you meant. Hey, I did want to give a shout out to every single racer that's been with us in the community. It takes a lot to do this. I've really come to appreciate, just on first glance, it looks like something cool that people do. The more you learn about the commitment, and we've heard a lot of stories about athletes that have just gone above and beyond to be there for their teammates. It has been really quite a journey over these 3 seasons, but just so all the athletes know from Zwift Community Live's perspective, absolutely amazing job. We've seen a lot of folks grow in many different ways, and there's, it's not always just about winning, as I was saying earlier. Some of these folks have really won by participating, giving their all, being fantastic teammates and friends and allies. We've all grown a lot this season, actually all 3 seasons for that matter. But it's nice to see where we're at now. And this is Dobbs here, Dutch Diesel Cycling. They've got a great kit. They've a motivated squad. And there we go. Nice to see a hello from Rebecca Larson, who is one of the, she rode for a team called Aaron's. They're still around, Aaron's, the furniture rental places, but she was out of Florida, a Florida state champion. Thank you, Daniel. Daniel and Rebecca have been married for years, but they were a big part of the road racing circuit. And some of my very best memories are of those days. They're down in Florida. And I remember the Athens Twilight, you'd see the Larsons all the time.
Athens Twilight, that's a well-known one. That's for sure. Lots of action. All I can think of is shiny lights and fast bikes. But Brown
That's
here,
about it.
shiny lights and fast bikes. And, lots of hype. Good music. All right,
You've been.
Never been. They do a good job, obviously, with their marketing. So when they do see the videos out there. But as you can see, Brown here being pulled back together by DDC and the DSing of Larson as Dobbs shuts it right on down. Looks like Cassandra is going to be the rider that's being worked for or struggling. I have a feeling the rider that's being worked for, though. I have a feeling that Dobbs was the one who is going to pull that back in to save
Oh,
energy for Cassandra, because the way Cassandra went over the top of Leith Hill tells me that Dobbs is making sure that she's fresh to take this race down when it comes into the back end of these climbs.
well, it's interesting, Nathan. One of my national champion racing in our field. So I have to be honest, with literally, Martin was telling me the other day how that the thousands and thousands of riders that are in the ZRL, it's incredible, and you really wish that you could get to know every one of them and learn their backstory. And we're working on it, actually, slowly but surely, Nathan. We're learning a lot about a lot of great people. But I see that Carolyn DeFore is in this race. She's a herd of hummingbirds rider out of Austin, Texas. She was a national road champion a few years ago, also in Georgia, and another just really cool person with a tremendous vibe. And I'm glad to see there's Carolyn right there with the Monarchs. Yeah, very cool. And she's earned her Sean bike. So Carolyn's spending her time on Zwift and being just a fantastic part of that Austin cycling community. I don't know that it gets much cooler than Austin, to tell you the truth. For those of you who, well, just about all of our friends now this time of day, Nathan, are North Americans, so they're already well aware of that. If I was talking to people in Hungary, I'd go on and on.
Let's go ahead and jump on over. We'll become right back into the women's race in just a few moments, but the men's race has gotten into the 12K mark here. I've gotten skipped out just a little bit on as we focused in on the women here. So let's go ahead and jump on over. And they are just getting into their Leith Hill climb. They've gone over the top of box already within the Bs. We're in with the Division 4 for America's East B category. Vidreles followed very closely by Legrand Manzana. It looks like Baird is there as well for MGCC. It's going to be Roberts is hanging with this crew. Olsen just hanging off the back, trying to stay involved as far as BRT Galaxy now making their way to the front. Looks like all on separate teams. Actually, no. Legrand, it looks like just in separate kits. They are supposed to both be in blue kits. Perhaps the Depere kit is as close as they could get with the other blue that we are seeing behind here. So perhaps one of the kits just was not opened up, as I think it is going to be Tour Depere that is supposed to be there. Probably a newer rider that just needed to jump on with the multicolor, what I call Minecraft blue kit. But Chavez now looking to close this down. Burford as well, CRCA, both from the same country, not on the same team, it looks like, as Chavez looks to shut down that gap to the top 5.
All right. So, Nathan, you said it was Division 4B men that we're in with now. I love the fact, two things here, that we have all of these divisions, which means we have just so many racers, but the fact that we've also been covering them and you sticking to that commitment has been great. As I know the athletes appreciate it. I've heard from more than a few of them. So, thank you for doing that. It's been, I think, one of the key successes of Zwift Racing League has been this coverage, and not just focusing on one elite category week after week has made it a lot more fun for quite a few more people. I hope you're getting that same feedback.
Oh, massively. Tons of feedback. We see all of the comments coming on through, and we really appreciate all the comments and people letting us know that they do like the coverage and that we are going across to all the categories, making sure that everybody in the community is getting a little bit of hype here to say, hey, this is a huge effort across all of the teams for sure. Now, it does look like we have a couple of riders coming out of Costa Rica that is going to be, that we're the Chavez that we're seeing here, but I think there's a Costa Rica specific team that Burford is riding for with Gavia 88CR, actually. And they are in the CRCA kit, so I'm wondering if they're Costa Rican, but located in both. New York. You know what I mean? Located in New York, yes, but also Costa Rican.
Well, here's how La Gran Manzana, means the Big Apple. So it's entirely likely that you are nailing that squarely on the head. Manzana is one of the few Spanish words I know for a fact that that's apple. So
Yeah, thank you. I should know that. I was taught that quite a few times while I was using different apps for language and probably just completely forgot. So,
You know what's funny? It's so international on Zwift, and you and I have had lessons about animals, about planets, about mountains, about alcohol. I mean, we have learned about 65 different categories along the way, as well as certainly flags. Thank you, Martin. And it's been tremendous. The experience is actually really reinforced by the takeaway of knowledge that I feel, and we make friends. This is, again, thank you, La Gran Manzana and Roy Chavez that we're looking at. Costa Rica is such a beautiful, beautiful country. Um, that is one place that I really want to go visit.
looking through the B category, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the current standings as we're just getting them up here. It is going to be Team Cayman, who is kind of walking away with this one at 131 points. There is a battle between La Gran Manzana and the GA Costa Rican team as well. So I wonder if they know each other closely, these two teams.
Pretty likely.
You know? Yeah, I mean, both Costa Ricans, right?
Yeah, odds are good.
I'm going to see
Odds
if I
are good.
can get some more information here actually on this team, on these two teams, because it'd be really interesting to know the origins and the about us here. It's all written in Spanish, so I'll just have to get a translator. But Gavia 88 Academy has its own website even. So
Holy
this, yeah, they have their own. I mean, and it looks like it's no joke. Very cool to see.
So
And,
Gavia 88 most likely references Andy Hampston, the American who won the Giro d'Italia. That was on the Gavia climb where it was snowing. It's a very famous picture of him riding in the snow and the tire tracks from the cars that had gone through already. I'm guessing, and 88 was the year of that Giro. So that's my guess there, using the clues that are available.
Looking through, looking for
We'll
some
have to
more
find out.
information.
Someone, this is what Twitter is for.
If anybody can chat us, help us out, because there's, I mean, I should just be able to translate it off the right. Like, if I were a good commentator, I'd just be able to be like, all right, here you go. This is what this is all saying. I'm gonna have to go learn some Spanish here real quick. That's my next.
It gets really steep. That little pitch that they were on, Nathan, is insane.
I thought you were talking about the learning curve. I thought you were like, Nathan, that's going to be very difficult.
Hey, listen, if I can learn how to commentate on esports, you can learn how to do anything, my friend.
So the current standings, as you can see here, MGO Racing, MGO Racing here, Dirty Watts, BRT Galaxy, B6 The Watt Brothers, GZQC, Kokani Jr., and then it's going to be the ATP Racing Propane and DC and Z. Now, there's a junior racing team out here as well. We're going to have to find them and see how they're doing, because I always like to highlight the new juniors out on course. You know, that is always really cool to see.
Kokanee is a British Columbia mountain. So they must be Canadian. And I'm going to guess that racing at anybody from British Columbia is tough. So Alison Sidor, a 3-time world mountain bike champion, is from the North Shore there of Vancouver area. And we have a tremendous numbers of riders that have been successful here. And Martin is noting correctly that Kokanee is also a subpar Canadian beer.
We do have an.
I'm going to take heat for that, Nathan. I know.
Yeah, I was going to say I was going to leave that one alone, but well, you went there. You went there. Yeah, blame Martin on that one. 100%.
Martin made me do it.
Now this is not a junior team though. It says junior riders, but the ages are all between like 27 to 43 years old. So no one on there is a junior. Are they in support of junior riders? Perhaps, I wonder.
No. Life expectancy in British Columbia is 270 years. So if you make it.
Oh, of course. So it's
they live
just
well
in relationship to the rest of the
world.
Yeah,
it's just all relative. Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. All right, the women are just jumping out onto their climb here. over the top of Box Hill, that second climb that doesn't really do a whole lot for you but make you suffer.
Yeah, all they give you, I did this whole climb and all I got was a power up, is what the T-shirt says that you can buy. Um, no
And it
points.
actually, what's interesting, look what has happened here. Skippers have brought back, as well as Argues in here as well. I mean, what a move by both of these riders, Amy and Argue,
That's good to
able to
see.
get back involved. DDC allowing this, or just couldn't do anything about it, perhaps. Now is DDC going to go back over the top? Yep, here comes the Cassandra. Little bit of a dig.
there's
This is a
points.
great time to go.
Points.
There's no points. There are no points up
Oh,
here.
I'm sorry, right behind them. Oh, excuse me. No points on box. Thank you, Nathan. You just said that. So this is, again, Cassandra, who's hit out. Interesting time to do this.
Well, I think Dobbs has really been trying to keep her fresh. From every time I've seen Dobbs' interactions with Cassandra, Cassandra has been on that wheel. Any moves that go up the road, Dobbs has been shutting it down, and I think this is going to be the moves. Now, from here, though, if Dobbs is feeling fresh after it gets shut down, and they go into this little punch right here, perhaps Dobbs can come over the top if she's got anything to go with and continue to do this kind of 1-2 punch situation. There is a feather power up here coming from Cassandra. And
there
Dobbs
you go. I mean,
to the front.
basically
Is there power
exactly
there?
what you
No.
said.
She's controlling it, actually. 3.5. Now Cassandra goes again. 6.8. Another kick.
Feather.
And continues with it this time. Gets the gap, but over the top, because of the reality of this downhill, if there's an anvil, the snowball effect, she's got to punch into orange and hit 57 kilometers per hour as quickly as possible. Brown going to try and match that, though.
Pretty wild race going on right now. We've talked about the wild, wild west a few times, and it's kind of what we've got right now. They're just taking out that 6-shooter and just wailing away right now. And it's certainly, I have a feeling there's that anvil that we were talking about.
65. Watch, now let's compare the speeds. This is going to be what we're going to do here. Compare the speeds all the way through, right? 71 kilometers per hour, same section. 67. Look at that. And Brown here, 78 kilometers per hour, going away from Dobbs even when she's in the draft. Look at that, 75. What? I mean, look, just flies by here. Brown on the attack with the anvil power up. I told you it was game changing, and look at the speed getting away. Cassandra, 12 watts per kilogram just to get back up to speed. Whew, if you don't grab that wheel, it's a freight train going by downhill, babe.
Nathan, it looked like somebody took a bowling ball and pushed it into an elevator shaft, and it just started free falling. That was insane. That well played here. This race is bananas right now. So I still think with all of that excitement, Nathan, it comes back together as 5 riders again here at the midpoint. 44K of racing as they are just past 27K in. 3 climbs behind them. They've got a brute to look forward to, however, as this next journey up will not be pretty.
I'm taking a look here at the speed comparison still. Look at how long that speed lasts for you. I mean, it's amazing. Now, Brown here, is she thinks it's going to come back together, I think. Yeah, I think. Or she mistimed the 1% there. I'm not sure. But, she's going to maybe. I mean, there's a pretty big gap, though. 4 seconds on a downhill like that. That's a pretty big gap. She maybe been able to do more with it than she thought. Perhaps she doesn't trust herself with this gap. There is a certain amount of trust of yourself if you're going to go from this kind of point. Yeah, exactly.
And if you weren't ready to commit, right, it's just with basically 16K of racing and 2 full climbs, I'm with her. I think I'd go for the safety of this group for a while. Although it's noteworthy that Laura Brown is having a good day, and over the top of the next climb, well, she probably won't have an anvil, but if she does, well, I think that might be the plan, is to attack the descent and see if you can build up a buffer for the last trip up Fox Hill.
Coming into Keith Hill now. This one's a lot steeper. Comes at you a lot. Well, it's a lot steeper up front. They do when they do actually get into the climb proper. So yeah, that's the weird thing is, I mean, let's take a look at this map, because this is it can be deceiving, right? Where they actually count the climbs at, because it's a little different from what they actually experience, right? The riders experience
exactly
from what you can see. Leith Hill, if you look at the first pink, where it starts for where the KOM segment is about halfway through what seems to be the start of a climb, right? But it's such an easy gradient that they almost said, well, maybe this is, or, it's reality. They take a left probably on to Leith, whatever Leith Road is there, or if I don't even know if that's the name of the road, but, they probably are just trying to stay to the reality of what is happening over there in the UK. Like, this is what the road and that hill actually is. They can't just name that extra segment going down toward the river a part of Leith Hill if it's not. So, but you do actually start climbing down by the river in a van where it's
I don't know about the van, but I'd agree with everything else. That's for sure. And yeah, so it's sort of when you look at it, it
you
is a
can't
little
bring me your inner
deceiving.
Chris Farley right now. You can't give me that reenactment. No, okay, we'll leave it alone.
That Saturday Night Live bit was certainly a lot of people's favorite. That's for sure. The old van down by the river. But yeah, when you talk about that climb, this will be decisive. Look at Cassandra.
I know,
She
just
seems to
closed it
move
down
around
like it was
the hill.
nothing. Just okay. We'll just shut this down. All right.
Yeah, that's a very good sign. Those kind of snappy legs, certainly. And two riders in that group. It's a positive indicator for DDC, the Dutch Diesel women.
The
Back in
chase
with
group
some of our
here.
skippers.
Yeah. Stephanie Clark, Aaron T here now as well, coming out of Canada. It's going to be a solid little chase, 3.5. It looks like they're almost matching the pace of the front group. They've actually brought a couple of seconds back. If they start looking at each other a little bit, there is, they could get within striking distance over two climbs. I don't know about a single climb, but over two climbs, if they do start backing off a little bit in that front group, they could. We did see it in a couple of races today where riders did come back on the final two climbs and were involved in a final go at the line. So Clark here now pushing on, maybe having some belief, a little bit of faith in her chase here at this point. Going backwards now, we do see it is going to be Agawatt with Lauren P. Aaron Ayala. We do see a big super fan, Elizabeth Meyer, in chat here saying, go Aaron. Dr. Aaron Ayala is from what we're being told, and we're being told she rocks, and she does rock right now, coming out of the USA, trying to chase down Lauren P. Got to hold that wheel, though, as the super fans cheer on. Lewat sisters right on the wheel there with a couple of riders. Looks like they're working fairly well together. And Gagnon, like the canyon here, needs to be finding a little bit of gunpowder, though, to come across, as it's a solid 2 seconds back.
Yeah, and it looks like she's doing exactly well. Look at this coming up behind her, as every woman is in her own private world of hurt here on the climb. That's for sure. You just try to find your own tempo at this point. As Perez, the CryoGen rider we're in with here.
Also having really a lot of super fans. Morgan Eldridge is in here cheering them on, letting them know that she's got their back. So do see that in chat as well. Pierre's, CryoGen, they're going to have to really pull something special off here because I do think they are losing that third place spot to the ATP Honeybees if they don't close something down here. And Stephanie Clark's going to be very motivated to get as far up the road as she possibly can to keep any CryoGen riders off of her wheel. Now, they did lose one of their riders, though, in this front group that went absolutely backwards, and that was going to be Scharf, who's now sitting next to Dignard there from the Watt sisters. But ATP do have one up the road. Now, Cryo have plenty of riders in between Scharf, though, and Stephanie Clark. So that is a big hope for them if they can keep any ATP behind them at this point to hold on to that third place overall. The Honeybees are going to need a little bit more than one rider and Stephanie Clark up the road, I think, to take this down.
Yeah, you can really see there that Dutch Diesel and the herd of Skipper Butterflies have got their own private battle going on, and the exact same thing there with CryoGen Marie Blanc, and those were that blue and white jersey that's so familiar. Morgan Aldridge, another CryoGen rider. That team has hundreds of members across all of our divisions and certainly all the different levels of racing. That's one of the great things about being on CryoGen is you've always got a built-in support cheer squad out there as well. Back to our front group now. Laura Brown, Cassandra and company here.
Yeah, with Laura Brown here in the Fearless team, she is the sole rider from what I can see for Fearless. Even within, looking through, there is Lithgow as well.
Very good sign there from Laura Brown as that gap opens up between the DDC riders and she's able to go right around that rider there. That's a positive indicator for sure.
Yeah, on the lower slopes here at this point, so it really hasn't opened up just yet for any kind of attacks or where
It's
things are
steep,
at
though.
between the riders. Very steep at this point. This is the initial, are you going to get into a groove or are you already over your limit? You start kind of being able to tell what this climb is going to play out as you do see Cassandra just moving her way forward like it isn't that big of a deal. 190 beats per minute seems like a
And
big deal to me, though. I mean,
it does. And Nathan, we're almost an hour into this race. This is where the first tinges of, do I feel like I'm starting to get a cramp, might be happening for riders here, because this is now going into extra as far as typically 45 minutes and you're done and dusted out here. 55 minutes is a long race. These ladies have still got 14K of racing. And I mean, you can expect to see an hour and 20 minutes out here today.
look at the belief in Stephanie Clark. That was 45 seconds at the bottom of this climb. It is now 25 seconds, 5-1.
That.
She is coming on like a freight train here. She's
catch
dropping Aaron T. I think
Yeah.
she's going to close this down before the top of this climb. Cassandra, maybe seeing this, is sensing the danger behind here at this point. ATP wanting to stay involved in this race. What a move by Stephanie Clark, closing this down. And it's going to be a big deal here for their points overall, because the more bodies she can put between herself and Cryogen, the better the chances that her solo ride is going to outplay the three that we see within the top 20 here from Cryogen.
Absolutely.
This is for a third place overall. That's what she's riding for right now for her team.
Yeah, great point. And I mean, Nathan, I won't be too surprised if she catches half of the women in this group before the finish. I don't know that she gets everybody, to tell you the truth, because there's going to be a split happening here. I'm expecting it to happen on this climb, to tell you the truth. These women have been together for quite a while. We've seen it. It's kind of accordioned and come back together. It has to, at some point, split. That's my thought. Anyways, you never do know. That's for sure.
ATP Racing, Kicker Core Garmin 3 dual recording, letting us all know. Level 33 Zwifter, she's such an ATP fan that she's got the jersey on in real life as well. It just says, I like her profile. All it says is, I like to sprint. That's it. I like to sprint. She's got a 15-second 12.7. Whew. Absolutely.
Really?
Killer sprinter.
Yikes.
That's for sure. Big yikes. Level
If I had
33
that,
Zwifter.
I would talk about my sprinting and leave it at that too. To tell you the truth.
Looking back here as well, I mean, she's been Zwifting since December 11th, 2019. So been around the world of Zwift for quite a while, and has been steadily working her way up. Was a C category rider for quite a while and has moved up into the B category just in 2020, it looks like, starting to dip her feet in. She actually raced a little bit in the A's for a little while, not super successful that I could see amongst them comparatively, and now racing in the B category. So Stephanie Clark, solid rider here in this season 3, and trying to get across now at this point and almost doing so. Does look like Aaron T from the Skippers is now working with her, putting a little bit of dig in as well. Maybe it was just biding her time, perhaps. I'm not sure. We're keeping her effort a little bit more consistent, whereas Stephanie maybe was trying to press the pace up and over the top as best she could. Cassandra said enough is enough. We're not getting caught by this chase group. I don't know what you ladies are doing. We need to check out here at this point.
Yeah. Yes, that's the see you guys later. I'm not going to wait around for them to show up, because they are 20 seconds back at this point. So great job there. But back at the front now, here we go. Cassandra has hit out. This is that split that I was talking about, Nathan. It was only a matter of time. But back at the front now, here we
Yeah, and we do see 3 seconds here is the difference at this point, as Brown looks to shut it down. Fearless on the front.
It's not the 3 seconds to me, Nathan. It's the statement being made here that we're going to attack, and if you catch me, guess what my teammate's going to do. So go ahead.
Good point. Really good point. Look at Dobbs' effort too. 3.9, 3.3, forcing Brown to do the work. emphasize this
Good
move by
teamwork.
Clark enough, though. She had him within sight and has not given up. There's enough landscape. She needs to make contact before the top, though. If she doesn't, all that effort is going to be shut down so incredibly quickly. An anvil could help, but there'd probably be some anvils up. But the odds that an anvil will be in that front group are so great. She really
She's
needs
going to
to
make
do
the
this now.
catch. No, she's doing it now. She's listening. She's channeling what you're saying, Nathan. This is the ride of the day at this point that we're witnessing for the ATP rider here. This is back to the front of the race here. These are the riders that are trying to hold her off. You can see that pink Tron bike just in the background there. 6% grade. I say she's doing it. I hope she's doing it because I always want to cheer for an effort like that, Nathan. But you're right. It's going to be close. That's for sure. And there's that very small window where if you don't make the catch before they go up and over the top of the climb, the game starts working against you.
We do see the pace really upping, and a few of the riders here concerned about the chase group coming back. Because of that, dropping Amy from the skippers here now.
There goes Cassandra.
That gap. Also, as you can see, Brown and Cassandra, Dobbs, this is for points they're going to fight for. It's all in at this point, up and over the top of Keith Hill now. Brown now 5.8. Dobbs right on the wheel. Cassandra sitting in. I think Cassandra's going to have the kick. We'll have to wait and see, though, as DDC looks to take some more points up and over the top. DDC, the current leaders, the skippers, unable to hang on. And that is going to be another nail in the coffin at this point for first place overall, I think, for the skipper Butterflies. Still able to hold on, though, at this point for second overall. That's the battle for first and second. I think that's already said and done. Here comes Cassandra with one last kick. Will Brown hold on? Nope. I think Cassandra is showing what she has. 9.7, 197 beats per minute, though. What an effort here coming from Cassandra Rush. What an athlete. Demolishing this climb.
Yeah, they roll her, but what happens now? This is the most dynamic moment point. It's going to be interesting to see, do these three now soldier on as a break of three, or really a split of three? To be honest, the word I think is going to be selection here, as it's going to be a very swell. Or does Cassandra not wait at all? Is this it? Has she flown the coop here? As there's definitely some wind under her wings right now. One of the most active riders out here today, and no question, if she ends up taking a win, it's been a lot of hard work. This one wasn't just gifted to her on a silver platter, but no, here we go. Three riders together.
Same three riders we've seen over and over again over the top of the climbs. Obviously the strongest climbers. We've seen Amy here from the skippers now trying to come across to argue. Stephanie's almost made contact, at least with the stragglers from that group. 64 kilometers per hour into that 4% negative grade. Now into a super tuck. Amy now 70 kilometers per hour. Argue now 79 kilometers per hour. Up and out of the saddle, showing us exactly how you get into those orange numbers in order to get that speed as high as you possibly can. Back into a super tuck. This is the way it's done. You don't just sit into super tuck the entirety of the way through. The moment it tries to slow down, you back into those orange numbers. Make sure that you are pressing that pace every time you can to accelerate every time into that super tuck. And now you do see a little bit of attack here coming through from Cassandra. Steph, you killed that hill. We're hearing from Aaron T, giving a little bit of encouragement between the two as they start to ride together again.
I love it. I've never heard that before. You killed that hill. She did. She murdered that hill. That hill is now a dead hill. Good job, Aaron. So that's impressive work out here. And that community is so awesome. All right, let's see what we've got. These ladies are just going to be having at it now. Such a big advantage if you're trying to look at it from the skipper's perspective here, where poor Laura Brown in this situation really getting tag teamed with two riders who just repeatedly attack and counterattack. But Laura Brown looks like she's up for the fight. Actually, that's going to be Laura Brown now back in this group that I am looking at as Chase 1 at this point. So second group out on the road.
Laura's in with the DDC crew. She's in with the DDC crew. She's
she is. I'm sorry.
Yep. She's in with the more fun with some friendly competition. I'm loving, as you did say, though, about the Awesome community that's between them all. The chase group behind then, we don't, there's a lot happening up front here. This is for all, and this has actually been a battle for these spots. It's not like this was just decided. Everyone had to work intensely to try and find their spot here, or hail. We're here as it does start to hail on them and rain, downpour. Clark now getting dropped here by the skippers as they look to make their way forward, as Aaron T and Amy now work together to try and break the ATP rider. ATP rider getting done what she needs to get done to break off any kind of points from the cryogen. It's not going to be quite enough, maybe perhaps, to try and jump into that third place overall, though. Clark now continuing on to try and chase the skipper. She's going to need those extra points up and over the top of the final climb on Keith Hill that will be seen in just a moment in front of them. We do see Ayala here, Aaron Ayala there from Revo, working with the other skipper. Skipper's putting a lot into this top 10, though. There are 3 riders.
They
with
sure
DDC. DDC, I don't see them anywhere behind. Oh, Tammy is there. Tammy T. She's going to have to close some things down here, though, as that is some pretty good points there for the skippers with 3 ahead, at least 3. Are there any other skippers around that I can see? Yep, the Monarchs here, as you can see, is going to be a little bit different, though. That's going to be a different team. Excuse me, that's going to be 9th place. So that is not the same team, as skippers do have Vicky back here, but that's not going to be in comparison, though. Well, beating the other DDCs that are here, so that may matter on the day. Getting a better placing even there as well, as points do go all the way out to, I mean, just finishing gets you 1, all the way down to 80th, though, or so. You do get 2 points. So every spot matters, that's for sure.
Yeah, community, the point scoring is decidedly different than what you see in Premier, and it's really cool. Also, we haven't really talked about it, but the fastest through segments are something that are unique to the community as well. Nathan, I'm going to guess that, especially looking here at this Division 1B women, that a lot of these teams probably aren't interested in being promoted out of this league. I would think that racing with this group of women is a heck of a lot of fun, and I don't know that I would want to leave, to tell you the truth, especially when you think about...
That's a great point. That's a really good point, actually, that how awesome it is to race amongst this crew. And just...
You find the right group, right? Not just your team, but the other, like, same thing with the soccer league. If every other team in the league are horrible people, it's not much fun to play in that league. But when they're all really cool people and everybody enjoys their team and the camaraderie, that's what sport is. That's when it's magic, for sure. And I think that this division looks like they're having a great time out here.
Looking at Baird, Sanderson, Vizrales, as well as it looks like the Cayman crew trying to make a way across, but it looks like MGCC in the men's race are really making a move for it. This is great to see. And is that going to be the team that's currently in 5th place from what I can see on the leaderboard, perhaps? As I do see MG in the name there. Baird, Sanderson doing 1-2 on the front now. Legrand Manzana there on the chase with, it looks like, Meech. Abbott's here now trying to hang on for Cayman. This has been a really interesting changeup, actually, as they hit Keith Hill. We've seen
just
completely like we saw a very different pack toward the front here that's completely turned itself around, actually, and now MGCC have made their way to the front. Bard's always kind of been there, but now Sanderson has joined him. Meech I was not really involved earlier today. Now Abbott's trying to come across, so it looks like a lot of blow-ups here and early attacks to grab points have found people off the back, as Roberts from BRT Galaxy was there before, as well as Chavez. Hughes is now on the back here from Cayman, so a huge change up as MGCC take over.
How about Alex Baird out here today, the Canadian rider? Abbott's as well. Boy, this has all the subtlety of getting punched in the face, Nathan. This is really aggressive racing out here. They're really, I mean, it's not a lot of tactics. It's not subtle at all. It's just who can make the watts on this climb. It's pretty pure. Not a whole lot of thinking required here.
Did want to shout out to the broom wagon riders that are out there. They are out there absolutely hammering in this B mixed category group. Douglas Liz Parker, Karen Abbott, as well as Tracy Moore, racing as an all-women's team in and amongst the B category here in the mixed. So great to see.
Good for
We
them.
make our way. Deborah here hammering away with McRae as well. So this is also going to be
Angela
a BRT,
McRae?
right? Angela McRae, right there in front of you. Yep, coming out of Australia. So
Sure. Well-known rider. Super high caliber rider. You said the team is Broom Wagon? Is
the
the
Broom
name of the team?
Wagon with Deborah behind her with ROE
Uh-huh.
in the name. That's going to be the Broom Wagon. And then
You know what the Broom Wagon, you know what that refers to? It's a road racing thing. It's
well,
kind of
sure.
subtle.
They're the ones who take up they're the ones who take up
The last vehicle,
the
right?
last of it's the last vehicle
right.
out on course. We have another name for it here, Wisconsin. Come on, sag wagon. We call it the sag wagon.
That's exactly the same thing, right? It's the last vehicle in the official race convoy. If you're a rider, so I've seen it before, where riders were off the side of the road,
or the sweeper. I mean, same.
Yeah, right.
Idea.
And you miss that vehicle at the end of the race, and you've got a very crazy day ahead of you trying to find the finish line. That's for sure.
Well, McRae's letting us know she doesn't want to be a part of the Broom Wagon as she attacks Deborah.
No.
Kicks it up a little here. Angela McRae riding for BRT. Diane Bowmans is also riding for BRT on this same team right now in this race. See if we can find where out on course the rest of them. But Angela McRae, I think, is going to be Tamara Roberts.
Tamara Roberts, right?
Her teammate is up ahead, currently sitting in 9th place overall.
Holy cow.
Actually, I mean, absolutely demolishing this from what I can see. I'm going to make sure I'm correct about that. There she is for the BRT Galaxy.
I wonder if the Roberts are related there, both racing maybe at the same time.
Well, that's a great point. You mean David? No.
Yeah. Who's the Robert you were just with
Canadian,
in the other
Canadian
race?
and American, but could be in the same locality. It doesn't have to be.
It's certainly possible.
Let us
We've
know,
seen
chat,
wilder
if you
things
know what's
than that.
going on. You know what's going on. You let us know.
Eventually, the chat will just be our third commentator here if we are lucky. All the crowdsourcing that info. So we're down to 13.5K to go for the mixed category. A significant, so as Nathan was just highlighting for us, an all women's team in the mixed men's Bs. I shouldn't say mixed men's, it's mixed, but typically the teams are mostly or entirely men. That's fair to say, Nathan. It's relatively rare.
The BRT team is mixed here. Then the La Gran Manzana is an all men's team, and then the Broom Wagon is all women's team actually within the mixed category. So definitely anybody can join up to it. But we say men's / mixed because it tends to be all men's.
That's fair.
Men's team. Yeah.
Which, in my mind, it makes highlighting the women athletes' performances just that much more interesting, to tell you the truth. That's the classic punching above your weight. So impressive. So we're at an hour now for this category as well, or coming right up on it, Nathan.
I know,
what
right?
a day.
Like this is
now you add hail in.
Almost coming to the flattening out section. As soon as the tree's clear here, that's what I aim for on this climb. Is I know once the tree is clear, do not rest, shift up and go harder because you're about to gain a lot of speed on a flat section, and you can really lose the speed to somebody who wants to shift up on top and get away from you very quickly as the pickup speed. A lot of times when you lose the force against the pedals, a lot of people, they don't respond with more power, they respond with less. And what you need, though, at that second is to shift up, more power, get your speed as high as you possibly can. It's still what wins bike races. Sanderson's trying to do just that, 32 kilometers per hour. Not a big kick, because this was a climb of attrition, it looks like, for them in the purest sense, as they were able to drop off the rest of the pack, work together, and take 1-2 for the points over the top.
All right. So as we start picking up these riders, Nathan, I'm looking for any kind of group at all out here. There it is. That's probably going to be the biggest
There's
group
a rider going the other direction. I just saw it. Did you see that?
You know what? we had that happen in Premiere today too.
Oh,
Just
it's
this rider
Abbott
went
from
shooting
ROE.
by.
She's being the broom wagon. She's actually the broom
Well, there.
wagon. Good job to Abbott. Hammering away.
But yeah, I'm confused.
I mean, they do go down. She's climbing Leith. She's climbing Leith still. So she's
Right,
literally doing the broom wagon for everybody. I think that's what's going on there. ROE.
Wow.
She may have, I mean,
Sad.
she may have started late, or I'm not sure, but looking through, I'm seeing she's not actually lost out on course. Luis Canteras and Masahiro Ito, they're actually, I think, DSs. So I think Karen may have started late, though, and is just getting across the line, because that's a pretty big gap. At 1.6, I think she's just on a recovery ride, because I know that Karen's got more than that in the tank.
I've never been in the situation, Nathan. If you on your Zwift, could you turn around and race backwards on the course if you flipped yourself? I know you can when you're riding on Zwift. Can you do it when you're racing? Can you go backwards on the course?
No, you cannot. You cannot turn around. No, you can't. You cannot. Yeah. And she's just doing an awesome job of grabbing some points for the broom wagon out on course, it looks like. So big shout out to her. And great job to Karen Abbott. I think maybe a D rider that's jumped into a B category race, though, too, which is that's a huge accomplishment in and of itself. FTP around a 154. It is a quantum leap. So amazing job to her. And just getting out there. I mean, the other D category riders, they're out there doing no Fox Hill, right? No final Fox Hill.
Yeah, they'll finish up. Is it 6K? Well, a significant climb earlier. That was a good call. I assume that's a WTRL decision, but I thought that was smart.
It would have been
enough is enough.
Quite a long time. Quite a long time. If they would have done one more, we were already looking at an hour and a half just to get to the bottom of the Keith Hill.
Took the words out of my mouth. Do we really think it's right to have people racing for more than an hour and a half with this intensity? It's just a lot to ask. Some do want to, but it's what you sign up for, and that's not what the ZRL is all about.
Cassandra with a 13-second gap on the final climb. Now back in with the women. 4.2 watts per kilogram coming from her. Now Brown here at 3.6, trying to close it down. Very close, halfway up Fox Hill at this point. They'll see that little bump and a sharp downhill into the finish line, which has made a very interesting sprint, actually, a couple times today. If Brown can come across, not sure it's going to happen, though. 15 seconds. I think this is a battle for second.
Well, yeah, when you look at Cassandra's power profile, Cassandra Rush looks so strong, just absolutely competent. She was purpose-built for this effort here, so she should be in really good shape for the next 1.2K. Let's put it this way. I like her chances.
Did we miss? We did. Jordy, you're right. Thank you, Jordy. I was paying so much attention to the reality of Abbott out on course, hammering away for the broom wagon. Jordy made a great little comment there, and we definitely missed one of the main highlights of the day is the amazing top secret anvil uphill tactic that we've seen multiple times today.
You mentioned that. You mentioned it. I remember you talking about it because I hadn't heard about it until you said something.
No, and it was Meech for La Gran Manzana used the anvil before he even got to the flat point on the uphill of Keith, the final little dig, like where it got really sharp. He used an anvil right in front of us, and we didn't say anything about it because we were too focused on the rider going the other direction. So yeah, Jordy, appreciate you pointing out that awesome tactic that Meech was using there to try and just psych everybody else out.
I'm so strong that I'm going to use my anvil on the climb and still beat you guys.
Yeah, exactly. So Roberts from BRT Galaxy, he was kind of, telling her to come on, try and catch me here. I've got an anvil even for you. He thought that it was like the banana peel in
Sure.
Mario Kart.
You're giving it to someone else.
You're just giving this to someone else, but
so
not how it was.
How old How old, Nathan, do you think that Cassandra was when she realized that slightly altering her initials would come up with C Rush, which then becomes Crush? I'm going to guess an 8, 9-year old Cassandra sitting at
Yeah,
school
the
doodling
moment
one day.
any idea of social interaction to do with what are your initials and what do they do, or the moment that she had to put her name on a jersey. But probably
Yeah.
before that, I would think. Like
Oh, putting
any
the
kind
name
of
on the
youth.
jersey. Yeah, yeah, sure. Like, especially if she had a sister, like
But I
Tamara
think
Rush.
dad, you know that dad or mom, especially if they're competitive, are gonna be like, you're crushing it. You know what I mean? Like you're
I wonder though,
if
because
cycling's in there at all,
yeah,
crush
but
it. I
were
mean,
people saying crush it 20 years ago? I don't think so. Crush it is like a last 10 years kind of thing. Um, you know, but I'm with you. I'm with you.
they're
That's
bringing her
I,
back. She's fading actually a little bit. Look, Brown 4.6, Dobbs just
yeah,
sitting in 11 seconds.
yeah,
It's
a little, a little. It's not over, but she's only got 350 meters left.
look at this. The Spinneman Buns are there too.
Oh my
Brown,
gosh.
they're doing it. Brown and the Spinneman Buns. Dobbs is sitting in. And Dobbs, though,
Laura
here's the
Brown.
thing Dobbs has the advantage at this point if she's got the power. That's going
Got
to be
her.
the question. But they definitely have her within striking distance. Cassandra,
Yeah,
she's throwing it down. No, no. 7 watts per kilogram. Now 0. Oh, no. What is going to happen here?
this
This
could
is
go
right
either
down
way.
to it. Cassandra,
So
one
now
more
you
kick.
wonder, does Cassandra have it in her? She's going to get up out of the saddle. She might be cramping, Nathan. She could. It's an hour and 23 minutes of this. Cassandra, you're a hero. Hang in there. As she's now into the final minute or so of this effort.
Got to
Oh,
be
you see her
careful. You
get
got
up
to be
and sit
careful
back
with the up
down.
down watts. You got to be careful with that. Got to
You
be
sure
really
do,
careful with
Nathan.
the up and down watts. You
She's
could end up
growing.
with a disqualification. So just careful. If that is sticky, you got to make sure you're not using those. Not trying to just be aware. Be aware on that situation. I'm not trying to call anything out that might be totally fine, but up down watts like that, they definitely get looked at after. And we had a rider that was pulled from the results earlier today because of up down watts like that. So got to be careful. Brown trying to chase it down though. It doesn't look like it's going to happen because Chandra is going to pull away with this one. Solid effort here.
Yeah, it looks like she was able to redouble her effort and is now going to stay clear. I had this on my odometer as 44, so it looks like it's going to be a little bit longer than I was anticipating. She's still holding on, though, to, it's 7 seconds. So we've seen it starting to come down again. So this one's gone back and forth. There's the finish line, and Cassandra's going to get it done. Well, you did crush it, Cassandra. Cassandra Rush for the win. Laura Brown from Fearless. Does she hold on? One last effort says yes.
And now argue to the line here. The Spinneman Buns making it happen. Aaron T from the Skippers next with her teammate 16 seconds back. Solid effort. Stephanie Clark tried to make contact, unable to do so. Looks like she isn't going to she can sprint solo, but no sprint to the line between her and anyone else. Aaron T from the Skippers, though, going to make it happen. Up and over the top, also Amy from the Skippers. Then it is going to be Clark trying to hold off Aaron Ayala for a top 10 situation. Lauren P trying to chase her down, it looks like, as Aaron is just 15 seconds up the road with in sight. It's going to be a top 10 as well. As we see 9th place, Katie from the Skippers, the Watts sisters trying to get involved. And then far outside the top 10, 46 seconds back, to be D. Barbic. Where is Cryogen? That's the first Cryogen rider that I'm seeing. That's going to be a big upset, I think, here for the reality of the overalls. As Cryogen, not a whole lot of riders in this top, no riders in the top 10.
Yeah, and so obviously we've been through quite a season here in season 3, and most of you, if not all of you, are well aware of how it all works. But obviously, this team points-based league right now, we will have to wait, to be honest, for a while to get all of our riders through, Nathan. That was something that was a little unique about today in Premier as well. Is it took a good 3 or 4 minutes to get the first 30 riders across the line to be able to finish up the scoring process. But this season now, it looks like Dutch Diesel with a second and a third. Obviously, we'll be looking at the fastest through segment and fastest across the line. But I think Dutch Diesel had the day that they needed to have to hold on to win the regular season here for America's East Division 1B women. But that's not confirmed in any way, shape, or form. So we'll make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's.
Lauren P. next across the line here. Katie from the Skippers now. It looks like 2.9 watts per kilogram, 2 seconds back for a top 10. Aaron Ayala going to make it happen here for 8th place. Very solid ride for the Revo riders. As we do see the battle for 10th place is really playing out in front of our eyes here. Lauren P. from Igawatt trying to hang on. 4.9. It looks like Katie from the Skippers coming on, and this is going to be quite the battle. That's always fun to watch. As we see, Lauren, 1 second. Will Katie make it happen? 6.4. Just barely not enough landscape to shut it down. Lauren holds her off. The Watt sisters, their first one across the line is going to be Jay. That is going to be, let's see if we can get a name here. It's going to be Josie Poulier. Poulier? I don't think I say that right, but I'm just going to act like I knew French.
Say it quick and move on.
Yep. As long as you act like there's no consonants in there for just a moment, you did it right. That's what it seems like with the French stuff.
Josie Poulet. You got it, Nathan.
All right. Yeah. Josie Poulet. All right. See, I just pretend like some of the letters aren't there, and then it works out.
I'm gonna change it a little bit to Poulot, but super close. Yeah.
Poulot. See, now it's how you
Costa
pretend they're
Rica.
not there.
Yes.
Now,
exactly.
This is quite the change up now. What is this has been the most back and forth men's race I have seen in quite a while. Usually you have a breakaway, there's a formed group, you've got a few riders working together, then maybe someone comes back, and then the people who got away get away again. This time, It's like a couple of riders off the front, that comes back, then different riders off the front, then it comes back, different riders bring it back, the riders are way off the back, Chavez, 144 now at this point. I mean, this has been absolute mayhem, totally roll the dice up in the air. I actually have no idea who is going to win this race. I mean, if I were to be betting, I would say Abbott's has been super consistent, and the 2 MGCC riders have been super consistent. They've shown their strength already, but the way that this is going with the attacks and where riders are at different points on course that are very key, it really throws a wrench into any serious predictions with a lot of confidence in what might happen or might not happen, which always makes for super interesting racing.
I agree. It is definitely a challenge here as well, not really knowing the strengths and the weaknesses of the riders out here. But just on paper, this is going to be a fantastic finale. They've got, let's call it 2.5K of racing remaining here. Very strong chase group together, however.
Yeah, and perhaps this was just a little bit of an effort that they thought would just come back. Maybe the reason that this is off the front is because they're like, we can handle that. We're not concerned. We'll take care of it on the climb. That's a rider on the downhill who's maybe in the mind of the chase group is wasting their effort. So perhaps they're like, just let that go and dangle off the front. We'll bring it back within striking distance.
Gets really steep here. Now, this is where you find out if you've got the legs or not. And I have a feeling that the chase group is not going to be able to hold back. Now, they're most like, well, I might want to eat my words here because as it gets steeper, you can see that distance. Now the chase group splits. Here we go. Final phase. And it looks to me like Alex Baird is having a really good day today, Nathan. Watch out for Baird here in the finale. There he goes. The Canadian is hitting very, very hard at the bottom part of Fox Hill. Baird now on the front.
Alex Baird, this is a rider who is very new to the world of Zwift racing, actually, here. I'm seeing back on December 12th, he jumped on. Then it wasn't actually until his first race, like serious race, because he did Halt Route, which was kind of a race. It's kind of an in between. It's not necessarily a full on like this is a Zwift race. It's kind of like a
It's
group
more of a
ride
race than a
slash
ride,
race.
though.
It is. It
Yeah.
is more of a race than a ride. You're right. It definitely it is. But that was his first real go. The MGCC hosts Ontario Cycling Association Virtual Challenge, the first race in that, he took 54th. Outside of that, it's Zwift Racing League. Very new rider to the racing. He's level 28, which tells me he was Zwifting before the racing there. But good to see Alex Baird jumping in here. 10 races in total, though. That's it. That's a pretty new, pretty fresh to the world of racing. Great to see.
Yeah, and he's got some experienced guys behind him. He sure looks strong to me, but again, there's a ways to go. Call it 2K at this point, and they look to be champing at the bit right now. You look behind Baird, you see the M. Banquero tri-rider. Abbott's, you mentioned, Nathan, the Cayman rider, another Canadian. Sneer, another one of the Canadians in this group. Vidriales, the Mexican flag there, making some big watts right now, sitting 4 seconds back. But Baird remains the man.
Vidriales out. We'll have to wait and see. Come on, help me. We're seeing Angela McRae. Is McRae got some dead weight with her? Is that what's going on here? No offense. I'm sorry.
So she's in a group.
Vasquez here saying, look, there's 2 chasers. She wants Deborah to not catch. So come on, let's go. Angela McRae giving a little bit of cheeky, come on, Santiago. Let's go.
Yes.
I love it.
So, and I believe, Nathan, the rider that Angela's talking to is Santiago Vasquez of Mezcal.
It is. It is. Yes, you're 100% right.
So you're absolutely right in what she's trying to do here, as well as hold off Deborah. That has to be part of her mindset. As being the top woman in this
now
field.
She's like, all right, thank you. Appreciate it. Just take a poll. Come on, Santiago. Good job to Santiago working together, riding for Cabret. Now, who's he riding for in game? Rezcal Racing. I'm looking for the team name that perhaps he is on, though, for the day. I'm not seeing it in the overall for the top 10. Maybe a team that's outside. Now, Mauricio, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Nathan. I did not mean to speak over you, but just your expert opinion. If Angela McRae is riding like this in a strong B men's race, isn't that pretty much ready for premiere, for prime time for her? I mean, I'm pretty impressed.
Yes, she could be top. I don't know, like the level that the premier women are riding at for like
slightly
podiums,
higher
top
than
10.
this, maybe.
Yeah, I think just a little bit. Caroline Williams, she shows up to our KISS 100 races and takes top 10s in the A category, right? So
with no compensation made at all, just racing straight up.
No, just racing straight up.
Absolutely. Yep. And I would think, there's a few.
In the community, because in the community, the disparity is a little bit more, you know what I mean? There's just a little bit more breadth in like who's making the cut for an A category, whereas you get into the A plus elite, I mean, there's just a big jump. At least I remember when I went from what was called comp, right, which is essentially like Cat 3 to Cat 2, that edge of Cat 3 to Cat 2 in mountain biking here in Wisconsin. I went from sport to comp and just got like demolished. Like I didn't even know what happened. I literally didn't even know what happened. I was like, how do you race at this level? What? And I was winning sport races by minutes. So there's a big woo. And then there were the pros who were lapping me at that time. Like they were literally lapping me. So, I mean, the jump is just so big sometimes. So, I would say yes, Angela McRae, I think. Now, this is just guessing. I haven't looked at her power profiles. I haven't looked at a lot of her results compared to some of these other riders. You don't see them race the other riders, so you don't really know. You know what I mean? So
sure.
That estimation I can't necessarily make, but I would say that yes, could be an awesome part of a Premier Division team Whether or not she's going to be hanging out with.
Yeah, I'd be recruiting her, to tell you the truth. Is Alex Baird going to get the win here, Nathan? He did it, holding him off with no problem.
Thanks. I went off on a
second.
big long.
No worries. Just wanted to make sure we got this because that's a big one.
Sanderson, Portilla. Now MGCC, they did it again over the top. Via now.
They nailed this one. First and second.
Costa Rica versus Mexico. Close one. Not going to happen though. It looks like, as Mexico is not going to take that down. Costa Rica again. There we go. And then this is a rider we haven't talked about a lot. Gregari.
Sneehuter. Yeah, finishing up here. And so, again, we're going to be, it's even, I was talking in Premier about having to score the top 30 riders. We've got a lot of riders out on course that we're going to be scoring here. We actually, pretty amazing. I'm already getting the alerts that our next broadcast, the racing just so long.
We do need to get going because of that. So we're going to get into the results right away, everybody, because our next broadcast is starting in.
It's the first time that's happened, but we could literally overlap the broadcast today with the link of racing.
So we'll get right on in. We'll get right on into the results, and then we head on, and you do need to respect the reality of being human beings as well, and the reality of
I'm going to need to see a man about a dog here at some point.
Wait, we're supposed to be getting you guys a dog? I didn't know that was a part of the agreement. Okay. As we do see D. Roberts and the rest making their way to the line, I do want to highlight again Angela McRae. Amazing ride here.
What a ride.
Alongside of the BRT Galaxy rider Roberts, who is going to take a top 10 if she can hold off Legrand Manzana. She's going to have to really hammer to hold this off, though. Hopefully, at least a top 12, though, if she does get caught. Because, a little bit of a dropout, but we'll let this come to the line here. I want to see whether or not she holds on, because this is a great result here for the BRT team and the lone women, whether or not she can take out a sprint or at least hold off Chavez. Chavez now kicking. Fading, though, to this is where it matters, whether or not you're going to have some speed, as Roberts is going to have a lot more speed on the downhill with a more steady effort. The weight, though, might be in Chavez's favor on the downhill. 4.0, 4.1. Again, a little bit of recovery here. Roberts trying to hold it off. Up ahead, Meach now fading. Did he drop another anvil on an uphill? No, he didn't. D. Roberts then also from Kokani. 10.4 watts per kilogram. Solid little kick to the line, and he's going to take that one out, I think, pretty easily. No, maybe another. And yes, he is going to take that out. Roberts now being caught just barely. No, it's right to the line. It's too much. 10 watts per kilogram. Let's go. Oh, it's so close. This is quite the battle. And I think she's just going to hold off. Well done. Well done. So what a battle to the line there between those two. And that was the top 10 within this category. All right, let's go ahead and take a quick look at the results within the women's category. We saw some pretty awesome racing. And Dave, across the board, what would you say would be the highlight here today in the women's race? And what you saw play out?
Well, that's a good question. After watching 8 hours of racing today, I'm going to reflect back.
Yeah, I totally get that. Looking through here though one other thing here too as well was within the women's race, we did have a battle within Riot too. And what they were going to be pulling off.
How they do.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and take a quick look and see how that ended up playing out.
Well, here we go. Is Riot on top again with Megan Rathwell and Claire Cameron taking first and second. Britt Powell. Good job, Britt, for Agawad. Getting up there for the bronze medal. Fourth place going to Arcuri for Wadi Inc. Awesome AF rider. Monks in fifth. Brady for sixth. Hardage for seventh. Pellerin for eighth. Perry ninth. And ML rounding out our top 10 there for America's East Division 1 women. That's a race I always enjoy watching.
That was, if I were to make a prediction, Megan Rathwell taking out the win, being such a strong climber, definitely. And Cameron right behind her. Well done. It's a Riot, and they're undefeated, I think, at this point, depending on how things played out behind them. Agawad, it looks like really stacking that top 10, though. I have to see where the rest of Riot ended up Because I know
so many points for first and second, though. 50 and 40 points. It really drops quite a bit from there.
Yeah, good point. It does look like there may have been some gaps too. So.
And they also would have been collecting 15 points. I got a feeling they did it again.
Looking at Cassandra Rush, Dutch Diesel Cycling, Atomic Spice, they're across the line, beating L. Brown just barely there to the line, followed up by Dobbs. Then it's going to be Argue with the Spinneman Buns B there, followed up by E. Toffel for her to Skipper Butterfly. It's going to be Milekde there for her to Skipper Butterflies there, followed up by Stephanie Clark for ATP Racing. Honeybee's the first one for ATP. Aaron Ayala, the doctor in the house, Revolt Godivas, coming on through 242 back for 8th. It's going to be El Proofer for Egowatt Fire in 9th. Nice job to Lauren there. And then Kay Hudan also for the herd of Skipper Butterflies. That's your top 10 America's East Division 1B. And in the C category.
So it looks, I was going to say maybe they're still out there racing, but they would have finished already. And it is Lewatt sisters having a great ride with A. Vincent taking the win, V. Rodier in second. It's going to be N. Barron for third, P. Michael in fourth, D. Maurer fifth, D. Singson in sixth, C. Collins for seventh, K. Sneher in eighth, G. Ostegai taking ninth, and it's G. Sampson in 10th.
And in the D category, we got M. Susi coming on through for Vibe, followed up by N. Amaker there for Herd of Badass Bobcats. Vig Nola also coming in for Vibe there in third. A. Sloan there for ATP Racing Bud in fourth. H. Bird for Lama Stay in fifth. K. Dubord, ATP Racing Buzz in sixth. Breeze Boy, did I do that one right? Bree Boy. Brebo. You got me last time. Perfect. Brisebois. Bois. I don't. OIS. Bois. Okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna stick with my guns here.
No, I think you're right. If it's French. I'm just trying to be American. 8 M. Mouser here in WTL Drafting Dinos. And I don't know if that's a good thing. In 9th place, N. Lee for Fear Factor. And then in 10th, C. Duval for 10th. So in the men's side of things, their results are just coming in. Let's go ahead and see if we can get those up and running for us. As we take just a second here to get those running. Make sure everything is good if you want them correct, rather than quick. Sometimes you take just a few seconds. And we have EMEA, of course, coming on up. Give us 1 second, everybody. And for the America's East Division 4, it is going to be no results here for the A's. Did we have no results in A's? No results in B's? There we go. I think we only had B racing and there was no A's actually in here, so that's why it's gonna be A bar there coming on through for MGCC or MGO racing team, followed up by R. Sanderson. Nice job to them. Across the line for first and second. El Portilla there for GA Costa Rica. G. Vidriax there for Mezcal Racing, and then Barcoro for Costa Rica G8. It's going to be D. Sneher for Kokani Jr. D. Abbott's there across the line for Team Cayman B. D. Roberts for Kokani Jr. And then M. Jacaruso for La Gran Manzana. And T. Roberts taking a top 10 amongst the men. Awesome job as your first female rider in the mixed category. And did we have C's? We did. Take it away for our final category.
All right. It was Jay Brodeur taking the win for the Dirty Drafters with A. Wakeham Smart, 30 watts 3 in second, and R. Robinson rounding out your top 3. You can see the Dirty Drafters had a phenomenal day as they picked up 4th place as well for Jay Keller. It's S. Fontana of No Problema Llama in 5th. R. Brower,
That's
ATP Racing
name.
Carbon in 6th. That is a great name. I definitely didn't want to just pass over that. The Llama Nation is strong. It's R. Brower there, ATP Racing Carbon in 6th. M. Tello of Pulque Racing 7th. De Rosieres in 8th for C3. Leigh Watts Brothers. E. Lawrence, 30 watts 3 in 9th. And then P. Kelleher of the Herd of Clever Colts, rounding out your top 10 for our America's East Division 4Cs.
All right, well, that's going to be it for us in the Americas East. The final day of racing. Playoffs will be announced by the end of the week. For more results and team standings, head over to WTRL.racing. If you haven't done so already and you enjoy the coverage, make sure to hit those follow buttons. We've got plenty more racing and community stuff happening out on Zwift throughout the summer. Obviously, the playoffs, you want to know when that's happening, announcements coming from us. Also, hit those follow and subscribe buttons. We'll see you in not a whole lot of time here. Dave is going to be here with Kate for America's West to round out our final week, number 8 in the Zwift Racing League, presented by WTRL. We'll see you in just a few, about 30 to 40 minutes. As always, everybody, ride on.